question number 15, solve for the unknown variable. So here we have x to the negative 2 power minus x to the negative 1 power minus 42, and that's equal to 0. Now, this is in quadratic form, so that means we need to have something raised to the second power minus something raised to the 1 power minus 42, which is equal to 0. Now, if you take a look at the middle variable term, that is x to the negative 1, which means we also need to put that here. So x to the negative 1 squared is x to the negative 2. X to the negative 1 to the 1 power gives you x to the negative 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use u substitution. So we're going to let u equal x to the negative 1 and then create a quadratic equation. So now this becomes u squared minus u to the first power minus 42, which is equal to 0. So now the next step is to factor. So we have negative 42 and we have negative 1 as our middle number. So what two numbers can we multiply to get negative 42? Then when we add them together, it's going to give us negative 1. Well, that's going to be positive 6 and then negative 7. Because 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. And 6 plus negative 7 is negative 1. So we end up with u plus 6 times u minus 7, which is equal to 0. And now using the zero product rule, we have u plus 6, which is equal to 0, or u minus 7, which is equal to 0. Solving for u, we get u is equal to negative 6, or u is equal to positive 7. So now we're not complete yet because we need to go back to step number 3, and we can see that we substituted u to be x to the negative 1 power. So x to the negative 1 is equal to negative 6, or x to the negative 1 is equal to positive 7. So what we want to do is we want to be able to solve for x. So we have x to the negative 1, and that's equal to negative 6. So we want to make this x to the negative 1 be x to a positive 1. In order to do that, we can raise this to a negative 1, which means we can raise this to a negative 1. Now recall that whenever you raise something to a negative power, so let's say that this is negative 6. Now we know that as a fraction it's negative 6 over 1. And when you raise something to a negative power, and you want to make that to a positive 1 power, then we need to take the reciprocal of what's inside, which becomes negative 1/6. So therefore, this is going to equal negative 1 over 6. Or, again, we have x to the negative 1, and that's equal to 7. And again, we want to raise both sides to negative 1. So this is the same thing as 7 over 1. So that means we want to take the reciprocal to get 1 over 7 to the first power. So therefore, it's going to equal 1/7. So our two solutions are negative 1/6 or 1/7.